What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Layback Podcast. Joining us today is senior right-handed pitcher at the University of New Mexico, Dayne Pengelly. Dayne might be taking this interview in the most unique location that we've ever had. We'll let him show that off in just a moment. But Dayne and I got connected, much like a lot of the group that you guys have now heard from through Tim Campos and the work with Albuquerque Baseball Academy. Dayne's a flamethrower with a unique story behind him, so we were excited to get into that. But beyond Dayne as the baseball player, he is also a super nerd, which I think will be made evident in just a moment by his location. So, Dayne, where are we right now?
I'm in my rocket lab at my school.
So maybe a little bit more detail than just my rocket lab.
So this rocket lab, this is where we make all of our rockets and stuff for our rocket engineering class to go out and compete at a big international rocket competition in summer.
And your major is?
I'm a mechanical engineer and I'm doing like a propulsion aerospace focus.
There we go.
Yep.
I know mechanical engineer can mean so many different things, but
Yeah.
as soon as you say propulsion in aerospace, that's the ticket.
Yeah, that's the punchline.
Maybe for the listeners out there, one of the first times Dane and I Zoom, we went through everything about Flex Pro Grip, and then his final question or the final thing he said is, wait, I got one more question. I see you got Python on your computer. What are you coding? So, and anybody that starts talking about coding and is really excited about it, you know you're in a good place.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, what are you doing coding? What are you coding?
Yeah, see, I'm a nerd too. This is a safe
Yep.
space. All right, Dane, I know this didn't all start for you in the Rocket Lab, so let's back it up a few places.
All
Maybe
right.
talk about the initial journey in the baseball world, how everything got started, and I'll just ask you questions throughout the process.
Sounds good.
Perfect. All right, man, take it away.
All right, so I started baseball when I was like 3 or 4 playing t-ball, as a lot of baseball players do. Played t-ball, played in like little league teams, then played travel ball, club ball. Started pitching at about like 10, 11 when we started actually doing players pitching themselves, not coach pitch anymore. I was catching and throwing a lot, so I would catch and then I'd go pitch. And I did that basically until my freshman year of high school. I was a pretty big catcher, and then I would throw once a week, relieve, a couple week times a week for like club ball and stuff. And then I got to summer ball after freshman year. We were doing some inter squads, playing games to get reps and stuff. And I was playing first base for once, which I didn't normally do. And we had a pitcher pick off to a kid at first, and I couldn't pick the ball. I went to go get the ball because the runner was going to second. I picked it up and I threw it to third because he was rounding to go third, and my elbow snapped. So come to find out, I had a avulsion fraction in my elbow. I had been having elbow pain, but I kept throwing on it, thinking it was just a pinched nerve. So I just kept throwing on it and just taking ibuprofen, and it wasn't. It was an avulsion fracture, so the bone was slowly breaking off of itself, and then just that one throw, it just completely snapped. I had to go under total reconstruction. I got a screw in my elbow that reattached the bone back to my elbow. And then it also reattached the Tommy John tendon back to its insertion. And then I had some cartilage damage and then a random ball of cartilage that they had to remove. So I had to have all that fixed and repaired. And then they also moved the ulnar nerve too. They moved it. So quite a
Quite the
lot.
surgery for a 15, 16-year-old.
Yep.
So you're after
Yep.
freshman year of high school. Did you go back to school with the brace on, or were you out of the brace by the time school started again?
I was in school with the brace. It was pretty hard. It happened pretty close to school coming back, so I couldn't really do much with my arm. I got really sore like in class, like trying to write and stuff. So I'd have to come home, and I love my mom. She's amazing. She would help me take notes at the first like month or so of being post surgery, just because I didn't have the arm strength or anything to sit there writing note cards and flashcards for an hour or two a day. So my mom was amazing. She'd help me out, but I eventually got through it, and it was better.
Maybe
Got better.
writing should be re-implemented in the PT process. That's it's
It
not part of
might
it
be.
anymore. If you were that fatigued from it, maybe it was actually doing some good for you.
Yeah, I'd be sitting there writing like just with my brace on, just like when is it gonna end? I can't keep writing. It's like I wrote like 30 words. It's like, oh my gosh, my arm's on fire right now.
I'm assuming typing couldn't have been much better.
I didn't have to do a whole lot of typing, like going like my sophomore year. I didn't have a lot of like computer class stuff, so I didn't have to type a whole lot. So I don't really remember how it was typing though. But writing was
Yeah.
definitely a chore.
That already got us into the fall of your freshman year or fall of your sophomore year, I guess.
Yeah.
So were you even able to pick up a baseball that spring?
If I remember correctly, I was able to, but I only played first base and I really wasn't supposed to be throwing the ball a whole lot. So I just hit and played first. It was like very light throwing. That's why I played first, is not much throwing having to be done over there. So it was only like the last like I don't know, like maybe 5 games of our like JV season, and then it was into summer.
What did rehab even look like for you? So I know we kind of joked about it with the writing and all that, but were you in with the ABA crew at that time? Were you doing
I was
PT
not.
normally?
I was not. So I did all the normal like PT stuff with a physical therapist, like doing all the getting back the range of motion, strengthening back up, restabilizing everything. And then I started doing some driveline stuff with Sean Reed. He's at Air Force now, Air Force Academy. He's coaching there. But I joined his team, the Wolves, the New Mexico Wolves, and that's where I really started to do driveline stuff, like what most pitchers know nowadays. So after basic like physical therapy and return to throw protocol, I started doing that. And that helped me a ton. Did that for, I want to say, at least a couple months for sure. And then a teammate on that team went to ABA for a power arm program session, like the 3 or so months it used to be. He went and he saw awesome results and spoke really highly of compost. So I talked with my parents. We decided it'd be a great thing to do. I talked to my coach and he said, like, go do it. Like he saw awesome stuff, like go do it. So that's how I ended up meeting compost is from a friend on the same team. Spoke so highly of him. So went and wasn't disappointed at all. I mean, I've trained with compost ever since then. And that was fall going into my junior year. So it's been over 4 years now that I've trained with compost consistently.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love hearing the connection there. But I want to ask a few more pointed questions on your own PT. I know I'm making you think back 6, 7 years ago or whatever, so it might be a little bit difficult. Do you
Mhm.
recall what your structure kind of looked like? Was it really at the time just kind of doing like shoulder bands, or like, were you relatively advanced with the stuff you were doing?
It wasn't a whole lot. It was mainly band stuff. Yeah, it was a lot of like band stuff. There's a lot of stretching and then probably a couple of like maybe some ISO holds like with the bands once again though, but there wasn't a whole lot other than that I can recall. It was just mainly bands.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then it was kind of on you to a certain extent to pick it up in the weight room and reintroduce that stuff. Were you a big
Mhm.
lifter at that time?
Pre throwing injury, I was just starting to get into working out quite a bit. And then after post injury, I started to really hit it hard, even though it's like, oh, you're not really supposed to like go crazy because then your arm's gonna look super small compared to your healthy arm. It was like I needed to work out. So I worked out as much as I could and I started doing a bunch of that like on my own and with my school, just like normal like weights and lifting program. And that I think that helped a ton was finally hitting a weight room for once.
Right, right, I'm
Yeah.
sure. And you're even speaking about it kind of on the surface level to an extent, but the research would show reintroduction to the weight room is huge in the return process. And the sooner that athletes can get back in the gym, the better off they're going to be, whether it's regaining the strength that they may have lost or just setting themselves up for a better future. You also mentioned even tapping into some left arm training while your right arm was in a sling or whatever. The
Mhm.
fear of like, oh, one arm's going to get jacked and the other's going to look really small. But there's another piece to that called cross education or the theory of cross education. Yeah, love that you're nodding furiously. Thank you for it's
Yes.
such a weird concept, but it's so important that anytime we train a single limb, the nerves fire from the same place that trigger the other side. So there's a benefit to be made. Are you going to get jacked
Mhm.
from it? No, not necessarily, but you're not
No.
going to, well, yeah, I say not necessarily. No, not at all is the real answer there. But you are going to maintain that neural pathway, and that's huge for coordination and regaining skill within the return process.
I noticed that pretty quick. When I finally actually could start working out my right arm, it's like, whoa, yeah, super big muscle imbalance. Like my left arm's so much bigger, but I got pretty close to even as the same size within like a month or so, maybe two, but it was a really quick, like my arm progressed really, really quickly. So I
Right.
definitely think it helped.
And then in your process, if again, I apologize for making you think back on all of this. Do you recall what the introduction of throwing looked like for you? Was there benchmarks you had to meet, or was it just like, hey, you've been at this for 20 plus weeks, let's try throwing a ball now?
The only benchmark was pain free, if I remember correctly. And then there was a couple of like velo benchmarks where it's like, okay, you can't throw over this certain velo, but that was it. So it was like you should throw close to this velo for like a couple throws, and then this velo for another couple, and then you're done. And it was kind of like that for a couple months until I started actually throwing off the mound again. And then again, it was same thing, like only certain velo for a certain amount of throws. And then it was like if you had any like elbow pain, it was like, okay, you take a week off or something. You like take a week off and then you go back like a week or so and you build back up from that week before.
And I'm assuming all of this was pretty much just off of a sheet of paper to an extent.
Yeah, I believe so. It was like a return to throw from my doctor who did the surgery. He had like a return to throw program that I
Yeah.
followed pretty much. Yeah.
And you did mention miles per hour or velo. So did you have a radar gun or something at your disposal that you could at least use to rely upon in the process?
Yeah, we used the pocket radar quite often for when it was like the days that we had to track velo, because then a lot of the other days it was just like you don't throw it hard, you know? Don't
Yeah, yeah.
don't be crazy, just don't throw it hard. You're not trying to PR or anything.
It does sound like your program was relatively periodized in a sense that it had higher intent days, lower intent days, days that you were just kind of going through the motions, being
Hmm.
lower intent, and then a couple days where you actually pushed a little bit and gained
Yeah.
exposure to the stress. So, although
Yeah.
you might not have had tons of technology or the exact rehab that we're seeing now in 2025, it still seems like there were some newer age principles applied to what you were doing.
I would say so, yeah. Like workload management and stuff like that for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So now jumping ahead just a little bit, you talked about hopping in with Compost and the ABA crew back in the fall of your junior year. So were you, I think that's when you said it was, so were you cleared to throw at that point? Was that kind of the end of your return to throw? What did that like summer going into your junior year look like? Obviously, recruiting normally starts to pick up then, but you said coming off your sophomore year, you barely even threw in
Yeah, I
high
didn't
school.
do I didn't do like any pitching recruiting. I did like showcase camps and stuff for like hitting and catching, but that was about it. And there wasn't a whole lot there. I think at the most it was like a couple JUCOs because I didn't even start pitching until actually, sorry, hold on. I didn't start pitching until winter of my junior year. And sorry, I didn't meet compost until the senior year, my
Oh
senior
wow,
fall.
okay.
That's sorry. So there was another year in between compost and stuff. So that's what it was. So I started pitching January of my junior year. Yeah. So then I started pitching. COVID happened. So then that's when I started to start doing the driveline stuff. And then over the summer, that's when my friend went to compost. And then that following fall is when I went and saw compost. So it was right before my senior year. Or yeah,
Okay.
senior, yeah, right before my senior season is when I started seeing compost.
Right, I got you. I got you. So what what kind of was the kick in the butt to get on the mound after not being much of a pitcher, then having elbow surgery, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go Chuck now.
So, I mean, I threw like a decent amount as a kid. Like I threw a pretty good amount, and I was a pretty good pitcher my freshman year. And just coming back, like afterwards and throwing again. It's like my pitching took off a lot, like pretty rapidly, and I grew pretty quick. Like I developed pretty quickly pitching wise. Just a lot of people just said that they thought pitching would probably be my best bet of playing college baseball, trying to go pro. Like I'd probably have the most success pitching wise. So I stopped catching as much and I started focusing a lot more heavily on pitching.
Okay. All right. So
So
some
yeah.
of it was the means to an end to a certain extent, like
Yeah.
the thing that could open the doors for college or
Yeah.
opportunities beyond. I
Yep.
got you. And
Yeah.
was the velo there right away? What was the initial like real pitching experiment like for you?
My first like actual pitching back after surgery, it was at a showcase and I hit 86. No, it was 84, 85 at the showcase. And it was like, whoa, like at the time it was like 84, 86 was like kind of hard for a high schooler. I mean, I know
Yeah.
it's not hard now. Like every high schooler is throwing 90. So it's like it's not hard now, but when I was still in high school, it was mid 80s was definitely pretty hard. It wasn't bad, and then I kept training it for a couple more months, and then I jumped up to about 87, 88, and it was like, whoa, hey, like I can kind of throw it pretty hard. Maybe let's stick with this, a little longer.
And that was kind of your junior year is what it sounds like. So what did
Yeah.
recruiting look like? When did that pick up, if at all?
That I started talking to some schools at that first showcase I had back. But then COVID hit and like everybody, like I stopped talking to anybody. Not my choice. The college coaches stopped reaching out because they were in that big dead period forever. And then because of COVID, everybody got the year back. So it really messed up the college portal and like just college rosters and stuff. They had a big backlog of guys. So I didn't talk to a whole lot of people till summer going into my senior year. Then I started talking to two or three JUCOs, and then I got into my fall. I didn't really talk a whole lot to a bunch of schools. It was just kind of couple more JUCOs and stuff. Um, let's see. I think there was a showcase at some point over fall where I met my NAI school I went to. They saw me there and they really liked me. So that's how I met my NAI school that I went to was in the fall of my senior year. And then recruiting didn't really pick up much more than that. I heard back from a couple more JUCOs and stuff, and then that was really about it. I talked to one D2 school, and that was it. I didn't talk to like any Division ones, just all JUCOs and a couple NAIs, really.
When did you ultimately make the commitment initially to Embry-Riddle?
I made the commitment. It was sometime during or towards the end of the spring season is when I made my commitment.
When you were kind of running short on options to a certain extent.
Yeah, yeah. It
Somebody
was
said, Dane, you got to figure out what you're doing next year.
Yeah, it was like, hey, you gotta, kind of decide what you want to do and where you want to go. So it's like, okay, well, we'll make the decision. So yeah.
And maybe not everybody knows this, but Embry-Riddle, a massive aeronautics program, huge,
Yes.
huge in the world of aviation. So I'm
Yeah.
sure that had some appeal to you to a certain extent.
Yeah, it definitely had some big appeal to me because it was like, oh yeah, this is a massive, avionics and engineering school. Like it's one of the best in the country. You can't really turn that down as a young kid aspiring to be an engineer. It's like you have a chance to go play baseball there at a great school. So it's like, why not? Let's
Right.
do it.
So
So
you
yeah.
hopped on over to Prescott to start
Yep.
off the college baseball career. But even
Yeah.
before we do that, how was high school for you when you were finally on the mound? Freshman year was when you got hurt, right? Or after
Yep.
your freshman year, you got hurt.
Uh-huh.
Sophomore year, you said you played like 5 games at first base on JV. Junior
Yeah.
year, you had COVID. And how was the senior year when you finally actually got to play high school baseball?
It was weird because we were playing with masks on and we had all these like rules of to what like we could and couldn't do, but it was great to actually like get to play a season like half normally and like play a full season and not be hurt at all. It was awesome. It
Not
was a
be
great
hurt at
time.
all.
Yeah, I liked it. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, it was awesome.
Good. Okay. And did you put up okay numbers?
I had a pretty good senior year. Yeah, I had a pretty good senior year all
Sweet.
around.
All right. So now let's get into the career at Prescott or Embry-Riddle, which I know was your college career has definitely gone quite the circuitous route as well. So
Yeah.
maybe I just pass this over to you again and let you map out the whole thing, the first year or so, and we'll ask
Okay.
you questions in the process.
Okay. So I spent my freshman year at Embry-Riddle doing engineering there as well and playing. It was their inaugural season, so the first season as a program. And we went dead 500 on the year. It was a bit of a grind. We lost our pitching coach at the beginning of fall, so our head coach was our pitching coach for almost half the season when we were finally able to get a pitching coach. It was a bit of a struggle because, he's a head coach, was pulled pretty thin. As pitchers had to kind of rely on ourselves to do a lot of stuff. So it was nice that once we actually got a pitching coach, we could sit down and spend time together. And then, so my freshman year, I was a closer reliever kind of guy. I ended up throwing a lot in our conference tournament and had a forearm strain. So that made me go and see a doctor and come to find out I had been kind of, overusing my arm a bit. So I needed to sit out the summer. So I didn't play any summer ball my freshman year. So then I spent the next semester rehabbing my arm, like doing return to throw protocol and everything. And then within that time, like being hurt again, I realized like baseball is only for so long. So I decided that school and engineering will always be there. I can still get an engineering degree almost anywhere. So it was like, let's go take baseball as far as possible. Like, let's really push myself. And so then I decided to transfer to a JUCO because I wanted to, go D1 and prove to myself that I could play really good baseball. And so I went to Pima Community College my sophomore year in the spring. So that was my time at Embry-Riddle. I definitely enjoyed the school and stuff. It was definitely a lot of memorable times for sure. It helped me grow a lot as a person. And went to Pima, had a pretty good year at Pima, and then that's where I was able to get connected back home here at UNM, and ultimately that's where I've been the last year and then all of this year. So
Perfect. Okay.
yeah,
That got us up to speed a bit. What was your role at Pima? Were you still throwing out of the back end of the bullpen there?
yeah. At Pima, I was a big like bullpen setup guy, or just I would finish a game out, but it was usually just relief. I don't think I started a game at Pima. It was all just relief appearances.
Okay. So your first time starting was at the D1 level.
Yeah, yep, it was. I played some summer ball after Pima and I had a start or yeah, I had two starts I want to say in summer ball, but that first start back at a Division 1 was like, whoa, like wow, this is real. Like holy moly, like you're playing Division 1 baseball, you're starting, like it's a whole new ball game for sure.
Right. And even thinking 3 years prior to that, you probably had days where you thought baseball was done.
Yeah, I wouldn't say baseball was done, but I definitely wasn't sitting there going, "Oh, I'd be playing Division 1 baseball someday." It was just like, "Oh, I'm still playing baseball." You
Right.
know?
I guess it's more the level that you never really anticipated.
Yeah, especially because I didn't talk to like any Division 1s in high school at all, so it's like, dang, I'm actually cut out to play Division 1 baseball. So it's like I wasn't really thinking about being able to make it.
And what was it you think that ultimately gave you the confidence to say you could do this? Or was it literally just a matter of a coach calling and saying, "Hey, we want you"?
It was over summer. It was like when I had to take time off again from baseball. I realized how much I hated not being able to play baseball. I talked with Compost and I was like, I want to take baseball as, far as I can. I don't really know like what that entails, but I want to take it as far as possible. And he's like, you have all the stuff to go Division 1. You have the work ethic. You do all the right things. You can definitely play baseball. It's somewhere pretty good. And so that's kind of what pushed me to be like, all right, well, I miss baseball a lot. I don't ever want to not be able to play it. So I was like, let's take a chance and see how far I can take baseball and try to go Division 1.
So let's talk about that rehab a little bit then from the flexor strain.
Hmm.
What did that look like? How was it different from the previous rehab? Did things evolve a little bit? I know Campos just 2 years removed or 3 years removed from whenever you had the elbow surgery. I'm sure you got introduced to acute to chronic workloads and different training mechanisms and all those kind of things.
Yeah, I saw the same doctor who did my surgery, and he said to take time off, and that honestly, the forearm strain wasn't anything of concern. It was just I was having some elbow pain, so to just take some time off, like let my arm relax and be able to heal and recover. So I went back to physical therapy. There, we really started doing a lot of stability stuff and like isometric holds and everything. And we also did range of motion tests. And then this was the first time that I started doing forearm strengthening stuff. We had these like big rubber like rods basically that you
Yeah,
would
the
take
flex
and
bar.
yeah, it'd be a flex bar and you'd sit there and you flex it and you twist it and stuff for your forearm to strengthen it up. So that's when I really started to do anything forearm like specific besides a couple like forearm curls with like a barbell for weights or something. So that was the first time we really started to do that. And then the return to throw, like the actual throwing part, we started off with like no plyo throws or anything. I was using a pulse to manage my workload and to see how many throws I was making, what the workload was, what my acute and chronic workload were. We did a slow return to throw program where it was like, all right, couple throws here, 60 feet, keep it under 50 miles an hour. Like you're not throwing it hard. And then after I think it was after about a month or so, I want to say, we reintroduced plyo balls and stuff, and we started to do like an on-ramping. From there is kind of when we took another month to get fully built up to start throwing off of a mound. And then after we started throwing on the mound, then we had like another month or so of like on mound throwing before it was like, okay, I'm clear to start throwing in games again, which that ended up taking because I had to take all of summer off. And then so it took basically all of the fall semester to get back to being like 100% good to like compete in games.
And you were still at Embry-Riddle in for that semester, right?
Yes. Yeah. I did all my rehab there at Embry-Riddle.
Okay. So how was that conversation when you went into the office to talk to those guys?
About like the injury or,
Peacing out.
they weren't very happy, as most coaches would be. They definitely really wanted me to stay to play for them. That wasn't the most pleasant conversation. Yeah, they weren't all that happy. They really wanted me to stay, at the end of things, but I knew that I was really trying to push myself to go take baseball as far as possible. And I wanted to play D1 and then I wanted to, see what, I could do pro wise, see if I could go pro. I threw 94 my freshman year, so it's like have a shot. So why not take it? So, or at least give it a chance.
That's on me for not even bringing it up. We didn't talk about the rest of the velo progression from when you went to that showcase and you were throwing in the mid 80s. Was it just continued gains from there? Because I know now you can really chuck it. What's the lifetime PR?
98. I hit 98 this weekend.
Hell yeah.
The lifetime PR is 98.
And
Yeah.
are you normally pitching in that like 94, 95 range and just running it up there or
Yes. Yeah. I'll normally sit at 3 to 5, and then if I'm having a pretty good day, I'll sit about 4 to 6s, and then I'll touch 7 and 8s.
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's walk back this progression a little bit. So, junior year during COVID, or right before COVID hit, you were in the mid 80s. Then you said you stepped it up to 87, 88. That's when recruiting was picking up a little bit. It was senior year when you hit 90 for the first time?
I hit 89, I want to say towards the end of summer going into my senior year. And then senior year, in the fall when I was training with compost, I hit 90 in one of my pens, and then I hit 90 in like a following pen. That was my first time ever hitting 90 was senior year in the fall. I think a pen or two later or a couple weeks later, I ended up hitting 91 that same fall semester of school. And then come spring, I touched 92 at some point. I don't remember when, but in spring of my senior year, I would sit about 88 to 90, touching, 91 here and there, 92. And then after my senior year, going into that summer, I played on the Connie Mack team for ABA. In that qualifying tournament in Cheyenne, Wyoming, I hit 93 for the first time ever. I hit 93 a couple more times the rest of summer. And then I was about 91 to 2 with the three here and there in fall of my freshman year in college. And then my first outing in college, I hit 94. That was a pretty big moment. I would sit about 90, 92 all of that freshman year of college. I rounded up to 94 at Pima as well. I would sit 90, 92. I was touching a couple more threes here and there, touching fours more often. And I took that into UNM in the fall. I was sitting 2 to 3, touching a couple fours until one outing, they called a fastball up, and it was like, all right, like let's throw this as hard as I can. And I let it rip and I hit 95. And I was like, whoa, that was actually pretty easy. And then the next outing, I was like, all right, well, I hit 95. That was pretty easy. Like, screw it. Let's try to throw like every ball as hard as I can. Like, let's see what I can get it up to. Whoa, 97. Like, I skipped 96. Like, I went 95, 97 because all the guys were like, whoa, did that misread? And then the next pitch was 96. And they were like, that wasn't a misread. And they told me afterwards, and I was like, no way. Like, I was like, holy crap, like I can throw a baseball that hard. I just, surprised myself. Then season rolled around for my junior year, and I would sit about 3 to 4. I would touch sevens quite often in most of my outings, especially when I started starting at the end of the season. I took that over summer, throwing 94, 96. Then I got into fall and I hadn't really seen any velo gains. Actually, let me backtrack. So in spring of my junior year, I supposedly hit 98. That's what I was told. I don't know for certain. That was just like a rumor. Not too sure about that, but I was still hitting 97. And then this spring, this last outing, I hit 98 for sure. Yeah, I for sure throw 98 to 3 to 5, and yeah. So pretty crazy. It's been a steady progression. There definitely was points where I had velo plateaus, like from my freshman year all the way to my junior year, still in the same velocity, but the arm was feeling good, so it was like it's all right.
Well, let's talk about even your progression a bit as a pitcher, and then maybe get into some of the struggles that you've experienced early on this year and how you've tried to remedy them. Obviously, you throw the ball hard, but there's more to pitching than just throwing the ball hard. What are other ways that you've kind of grown as a pitcher, things that you've worked on to up your game?
Learning mental cues for certain pitches because you're gonna have a ball where it's like you throw it and it like nothing about it feels right and you're like what was that, and so what's your mental cue to get back to what it should feel like so that way you can go out there and execute that next pitch. Learning those, really diving into understanding those cues. I developed a red light, green light, yellow light system. If you're going good, it's green light. If say you walk a guy or you throw a couple balls in a row, all right, you yellow light, all right, just a quick little reset, let's get back to green light. Or red lights, like, hey, you just walked a guy and gave up a hit, or you walked 2 guys in a row. You need to step off, take a breath, fully reset, forget it, and then come back and focus in on that, that next batter. So those were some of the big notable things, at least mentally, was just trying to focus on that, just getting mentally tougher and not letting like giving up a hit or like an error or walking guy, just like not letting it affect you as much. And stuff's gonna happen. It's baseball. It's hard. Bad stuff's gonna happen. Things aren't gonna go your way. How are you gonna overcome it though? Some other stuff like control wise, because I had some issues with control, was learning to really control my body, really control what I was doing, and being really diligent and specific about if I want to throw a ball here, what is my target in order to throw a ball inside? Let's start at middle and let it run in. Or do I want to throw a ball away? Okay, so I need to think black or the white on the batter's box. Really is mental stuff, and then just few small like mechanical adjustments of just cleaning stuff up, making it more consistent.
Do you think the mental game has always been kind of your Achilles heel in a sense, given some of the arm talent that you had? Like,
In
yeah,
high school, I don't know. I couldn't say particularly like what my mental state was in high school compared to now. I don't really remember it much. I mean, I pitched really good in high school. Having some velo definitely helped, but I definitely like could pitch in high school. And then I think I kind of forgot some of that, like going into college, you're trying to earn a spot. So it's like you start thinking a little too much of like all these other stuff. And then I had to take time away from baseball, so it's like I kind of lost that mental approach I had, taking 3 months off of not playing and then having to take another like 4 months off to rehab, to rehab it before playing in a competition. Kind of you forget what it's like to compete, and so it really throws you off. I think since then, yeah, it was a weak point, and I've been working on it pretty heavily since then to try to have as strong of a mental game as I can.
And you talk about your reset. Are there triggers or cues that you have besides just you walk a guy or something like that? Or are there little things? Is it breath work? Is it a spot on the field that you look at or enable you to kind of calm down and reset?
Yeah, so I'll step off the mound completely, like off the dirt and everything. I'll usually turn to the outfield or just close my eyes and I'll take like a big deep breath in and I'll let it out slowly. You're not supposed to breathe it out fast. It'll speed your heart rate up. So I learned that one. But you breathe out slowly and then mentally it's just like, all right, forget it. He's on base now. Like, let's go get an out. Let's go get this next guy out. Like, let's get a ground ball. Let's get the team back in the dugout, back to hitting. Just kind of just breathing it and just going, okay, what did I do wrong here? All right, well, I'm trying to do too much with my fastballs. Just need to attack the strike zone. Okay, and then step back up on the mound, get your pitch, and
Nice. All right. So it's not even like it's super positive self-talk. It's really just matter of fact. Here's the situation. This is where you find yourself. Let's get out of it.
yeah, I should probably. I've been trying to be better about self-talk. You're gonna get this next guy, stuff like that. From what I can remember in high school, it was like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna get this guy, like I got this guy, or I'm gonna get this guy out. So I've been trying to be better about that and getting back to it. It's hard to, change your mental mindset and stuff when you've been doing it for a couple of years. But yeah, I've been trying to have like I'll try to have good self-talk. Like it's not always the same thing every time. I like red light it, but it's pretty similar, like, deep breath. What's the thought? Okay. What's the adjustment? All right, cool. Now let's go get the next guy.
And where did this stoplight system come from? Did someone teach you that? Did you develop that on your own?
So this stoplight system came from at UNM from Lopes because that was one of the things like they talked about is like developing a red light, yellow light, green light system was the stopping because I didn't have that before. Like I had some mental approach of like you need to really think, don't let errors or hits get you out of your focus, stay focused. I had the breathing techniques and stuff then, but I didn't have the mental just straight up like reset, like all right, red light, reset, flush it until I got to UNM.
So I want to
Yeah.
get back into gameplay now. Thanks for talking
Mhm.
about the mentals for a minute.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the progression to starting because you hadn't done that yet in college. Your first time
hmm
doing it is at the D1 level, and you hinted at the starts started coming at the end of last season. So was it injury? Was it performance? Was it just you guys needed a mix up and we're going to go throw Dane out there?
No, so I started off the season. I had a start at the beginning of the season in one of our first games, and I was not prepared. I was physically ready, but mentally I was not. I was so like taken aback, like, holy crap, like I made it, like I finally did it. I'm pitching D1. Holy crap. And my outing came and gone before I knew it. And I was pulled and I was like, what the hell happened? I walked six guys or something like that. No, I gave up like 6 runs in like an inning. I recorded 1 inning's worth of outs and started the second inning and just did never got out of it. And I kind of lost my starting spot having such a bad outing like that, and especially when some other guys stepped up. From then on, I had a couple of relief appearances, kind of like long relief, trying to build back up confidence and understand I need to really focus on mental game here. I can't let myself get caught up in the moment like I did. And then it was about halfway through season when we were in conference play. We had like an Easter weekend. So we played a game earlier. I had thrown in a midweek and I didn't throw that week in conference because I threw quite a bit in the midweek. And so I was probably the freshest guy that could go the longest. And so I ended up throwing the Thursday. And then from that point on, we kept it where I was the first game. And then we had Saturday and Sunday guys afterwards. And so then that's kind of what it stuck with the rest of the season.
That had to feel like a pretty good redemption arc to get the shot again and
Yeah.
take full advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah. It was pretty good knowing that. Like, I fucked up. I had a bad first outing, but worked on some stuff. I've addressed some issues that I had, and it's like I was able to redeem myself and come back and being a better pitcher.
I know it's not all sunshine and rainbows since then because this year wasn't the smoothest start, right? We can talk about it frankly, and thankfully you've been able to rebound a bit. But what maybe reared its ugly head this year? Was it some of the same stuff? Was it just things out of your control? Can you shed
Um,
light on that?
it was It's some of the same stuff, like with mental game. Like the hardest part about baseball is the mental game. I mean, that's what the game is. It's all mental. I had some, I wouldn't say like problems, but I had some mental stuff that I need to correct or like change. So my junior year, I was throwing a slider and a changeup, but my slider was more of just like a gyro spinny like cutter thing. It wasn't really a slider, and I just had no feel for a changeup. Like metrically, it was a great changeup, but I couldn't throw for strikes ever, so it didn't matter. So then over fall, we were working on sliders, and I started throwing a splitter again. And then right before season started, when we got back from winter break, I just couldn't find my slider for anything. I couldn't find it all. So we started messing around with a whole bunch of slider grips right before season. I was able to throw it fairly decent my first outing, and then my second outing, I didn't have it at all. I just had to like lay fastballs over in the zone, and I just got absolutely barreled. And I was walking a couple guys because I wasn't selecting good targets and having good visuals for where I wanted to throw pitches and stuff. And so I had to come back and realize, like, well, like I throw hard. My slider I have now is great. Like it's a great slider. Like I need to trust it. I need to just throw it. And then since then, every outing's been better and better. And the sliders have so much trust in it now. Like I actually feel confident when I throw it. I feel confident when I throw my splitter. I'm confident with my fastball. And I've kind of had a rocky start again to the season. It's definitely better than last year, but we're just trying to build and build off of every outing. And so far that's, I think that's what I've been doing. You're gonna have tough outings here and there. And my last one, I walked a couple too many guys, but I had a lot more trust in my slider and stuff. I competed a lot more. I let guys get away from me when I had them, at two strikes. I just would start trying to do too much. So now it's like, okay, I have trust with my stuff. So let's just trust it and go after guys right away. Let's not try to get too fancy with stuff. Let's just let it do its thing. And hopefully when I put all of it together, I have a lights out outing and it looks like I actually know how to pitch.
Metrically, what do all your pitches look like?
So I have a sinker. It runs on average 14 to 17 inches of horizontal. It'll have about 5 inches of vert. The slider is pretty good. Last outing that I know, it was sitting -6 horizontally and then -2 vertically. A pretty good slider. It has some depth. And then
And how hard are you throwing that? Sorry.
I I don't remember what the velo was on it. I would go to guess it was about 83, 84. My splitter horizontally, it's about 7 or so inches. And then vertically, it'll be anywhere from like negative vert to about zero vertical. And then that's about 86, 87.
Okay, nice. So
Yeah.
metrically, you're filling out a decent triangle there. It's just about
Yeah.
landing them where you want to land them.
Yep. It's just about throwing strikes and attacking hitters,
For
going
sure.
and getting out. So yeah.
So going forward with the rest of this season, I know you want to go as far as you can with baseball. You also have some
Mhm.
rocket launches to deal with. But what in your mind is the goal for the rest of your senior year and beyond?
Go be as much of a dog as I can every outing, be consistent and just come out of every game giving my team the best chance to win. If I just go out there and compete my ass off for 5, 6, 7 innings, as much as I can give them, and I give them a chance to either strike back within 2 runs or we have the lead, just making sure that my team a chance to win every time. That's all I can really strive for. Just get as many outs as I can in every outing.
All
Yep.
right. And then team goals. How are you guys looking? I'm assuming conference play just opened up. What's the outlook for the boys? Possible run at a regional? What are you thinking?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. We're looking really good. We're 4-2 in conference right now, so we're still leading the conference right now. We're looking if we can keep playing how we are, I think we have a good chance, a really, really good chance of winning the, regular season. And then I think we have a really good chance of winning, our conference tournament and then make a regional and, enjoy it from there,
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And obviously, anything pro ball wise is entirely out of your control. So I'm going to avoid any major questions on that. I'm sure it is just like the fingers crossed, whatever happens, happens approach.
Yep. It's like give it my all this season. Don't leave
Yeah,
anything to
yeah,
chance. Just go have the best season I can and let's hope you can get picked up.
exactly. So maybe more in your control is what you do in the classroom. So what do you have left with all these fancy senior engineering classes so you can start building some rockets?
So I have this semester and then I have one more semester after just because of the travel the transferring and stuff. So I had to make up a couple credits, but I have a bunch of classmates that didn't transfer and are graduating a semester late too. So it's all good. Like I'll be good. And I got just a couple of engineering elective credits. Like I'm getting all my like major like course requirement and like core classes done this semester. So next semester is just like, oh hey, have fun with engineering and just take what you learned and use it.
So what are your favorite classes that you're either in now or what you have left on the table that you're looking forward to?
My favorite classes. So I really like this class I'm in right now, rocket engineering. That's our senior design class. That's a lot of fun. And then we have a controls class. It's really hard, but I like it a lot. It's pretty interesting. It's like talking about like how you control a bunch of like systems, like cars, like electronics, stuff like that. It's really cool. It's really hard, but I think it's pretty cool. And then heat transfer is pretty cool. I find it really interesting. It's also really hard. We really struggle with it, but it's a lot of fun because it's really cool because it's along the realms of like propulsion, deals a lot with heat transfer. So it's kind of like, hey, this is kind of what I'll be doing and looking at is this kind of stuff. So it's cool to kind of get an insight of to what, I'll be doing.
Well, it
And
sounds like I shouldn't be the least bit surprised if I get a call or a video from you of a completely torn apart Flex Pro grip with you looking at the circuit board and all the engineering on the inside.
yeah, I might be like, hey, Compost, can I borrow this Flex Pro? Yeah, sure. Comes back, it's hey, Compost, I don't know what happened to it, but it stopped working. I definitely didn't take it apart or anything.
Definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, if you can teach us a thing or two about what's going on in the inside, maybe I'd like that. So we'll possible
Awesome.
graduation gift or something like that.
That would be awesome.
Yes. All right, dude. Well, that kind of does it for me. I don't know if there's anything else that you feel like you really want to get off your chest before I let you go.
No, nothing really other than just chase your dreams, trust yourself. You put in all the preparation, the work, and you work really hard. Trust it, believe in yourself, even if nobody else does. Like you gotta believe in yourself and don't ever walk away from something going, dang, I wish I could have given it more. I wish I would have given it this last 10%. Like always come out of every outing or, whatever you do, just going, I gave it my all and whatever happened, happened. But at least you knew you gave it all your effort.
Awesome,
That's
man.
that's all I got.
I really appreciate that. Thanks a ton for
Yeah.
your time today. Hopefully, people can follow you in the
Yeah, of
Lobos
course.
as you make a run here. I know you're not the biggest social media guy, but I'm always happy when I see the Lobos put your face. Like just today, I saw you with a lasso on
Yeah.
the Instagram post. So
Yep.
we got some good stuff coming. But
Awesome.
yeah, Dane, again, thanks a ton, and
Yeah, thank you for having me.
of course, man, and to all the listeners, thanks for laying back with us.
Thank you.